For analysis on this, we're now joined by Professor Bheki Mngomezulu, Director of the Center for the Advancement of Non-Racialism and Democracy at Nelson Mandela University, and he joins us via our video link. Professor, thank you so much for joining us this evening here in SABC News. Let's start off here. What is your take on the ANC suspending some of its councillors who are said to be supporting other parties, especially like the MK party?
Thank you very much, my sister, for having me. Good evening to you. Good evening to your viewers. First of all, I think that each and every political party has its own internal processes as to what to do in the event that some members are found to have flouted the policies and the constitution of the party. But then, having said that, it will be wrong of any political party, including the ANC, of course, to use emotions as opposed to following the constitution of the party and the policies of the party. So if, for example, it's within the party's policies that anyone who has violated the policies and has violated the constitution, certain steps have to be taken, then they are on the right. But then the question will be, is the ANC in KwaZulu-Natal going it alone, or is it following what the national office is also doing? So if the PEC of KwaZulu-Natal is the only one of the 9 provinces that is taking these so-called drastic measures, then what will be the outcome thereof? Is there a KZN exceptionalism, or is KZN part of the collective? Those are the questions I think that need to be addressed.
And Professor, I mean, some of the reports I've seen in regards to this matter is that, these councillors have indeed been seen supporting the newly formed MK party. And, when you're looking at this, newly formed party, do you think with the suspension of these members, it clearly shows that this party is really becoming a problem now for the ANC?
Umkhonto Wesizwe was a problem from day one when it was announced on the 16th of December, officially, when former President Zuma officially announced, in this case on the 16th of December, that he was going to support Umkhonto Wesizwe. So the writing was on the wall that people were going to move en masse and join Umkhonto Wesizwe. Then, of course, this includes members of the ANC and members from other political parties, as well as people who are not members of any political party. You might have noticed that there are a number of political parties that have been established recently. Right now, we are sitting at over 600 political parties currently registered with the IEC. Some of those parties are relatively new, and then there's not been any noise to the extent that we've seen with regards to the MK. You might have noticed that a number of high-ranking ANC members have been on the media basically showing their discomfort with the formation of Umkhonto Wesizwe. So the reality, therefore, is that Umkhonto Wesizwe has caused upset, not just within the ANC, but also including other political parties.
And when you zoom into this matter and you see the ANC here in KZN sort of, dealing with some of its members who are seen to be associating with the MK party, and they are suspending these councillors. And at the same time, they've had their former president, very senior member of the ANC, who has gone out of his way to speak out against the party and has said on numerous occasions that he will not campaign for the ANC during this year's elections. It seems as if here they are dealing with, those who have a lesser sort of command in leadership, as opposed to actually going directly to the former president and suspending the former president himself.
My sister, you are asking a very pertinent question. Under normal circumstances, if you implement the constitution of the ANC, more especially section 25 of the constitution, you have to apply it evenly, not to be selective in your application, because the moment you do that, you are setting yourself up for failure, and then of course you are inviting even more problems. In this case, it's clear that the former president announced in public that he was not going to support the ANC, instead he was going to support Umkhonto Wesizwe. At the same time, he indicated that he was still a member of the ANC. How did the ANC respond? The SG of the party, that is Fikile Mbalula, said that former President Jacob Zuma will not be expelled from the party because he has already summarily expelled himself. Which part of the constitution of the ANC says that? Because the constitution is clear that if you are found to, or in fact you are assumed to have done something wrong, you are subjected to a lengthy process, which process involves laying charges against you and then affording you an opportunity to explain yourself and then appearing before the integrity committee of the ANC. This has not happened. And then if you say the person has been summarily dismissed himself, then you convene an NEC meeting, he shows up as an ex-official member of the NEC. How are you going to stop him from doing that? Because you have not formally dismissed him. I think the ANC is caught between the rock and the hard place. On the one hand, they want to be seen to be implementing the constitution of the party. On the other hand, they are well aware of the political repercussions of their actions. So their action will lead to something disastrous. Their inaction will also lead to something disastrous. So that's why then I think they are between the rock and the hard place. That is why you find only those who are at the lower level being taken out of the party, being at the moment suspended, and yet nothing is said about the former president, because they know what is at stake. You may be legally wrong, but be politically wrong. So they to do the balancing act.
And we keep on asking this question as journalists, why is the ANC seemingly afraid of dealing with the issue of the former President Jacob Zuma? One would say, are they waiting for the elections to move past, or, and maybe they will only make their move then, because maybe they might be afraid of what this could do to the party and how it would affect their numbers at the polls?
That's exactly the point I'm making, my sister, when I say that there will be a serious political repercussions of any action by the ANC. Their inaction is also problematic because it means that if you allow one person to do certain things, you might as well allow me to do the same things in the case of a consistency. But in this case, they are mindful of the fact that if they come hard on the former president, who enjoys support, by the way. I've heard people saying that he only enjoys support in KwaZulu-Natal, which is factually incorrect. So they are mindful of the fact that if they come hard on the former president, chances are they will be giving MK even more armory for the party to be stronger than it currently is. So then they are trying to tread carefully. On the one hand, they do want to remind the general public that we do have a constitution that we are following, which is why they are suspending those who are at the lower level, the ones you just mentioned a few minutes ago. But at the same time, they are mindful of the fact that if they take drastic action against the former president, then there might be serious repercussions. Even though legally they will be right, but politically they are going to be found wanting.
And let's talk about the manifesto launch. I mean, the ANC's manifesto will be launched in KZN. This is also where many of the MK members find themselves. How will this have a bearing on the ANC's manifesto launch? Speaking about the actual MK party here, which enjoys a home right now in KZN.
No, the launch of this manifesto should not be an issue. We know that the ANC, the IFP and the EFF are all going to launch their manifestos at Moses Mabhida Stadium. There is nothing wrong with that. Even the MK might decide to launch its manifesto at Moses Mabhida Stadium. There is absolutely nothing wrong with that. The fact that the MK is rising, and then of course while the ANC is trying to manage the political situation on the one hand and the legal situation on the other hand, is neither here nor there. Let the ANC manage its own affairs. Let Umkhonto do its own affairs, and then the same applies to the other political parties too. So this should not be an issue for me.
All right, Professor, thank you so much for that insight on this matter. That is Professor Bheki Mngomezulu, Director of the Center for the Advancement of Non-Racialism and Democracy at Nelson Mandela University, discussing the suspension of those members of the ANC in KwaZulu-Natal.